Reading transformed human thought by introducing a learned circuit, yet that same circuit now faces digital pressures. This shift matters because attention is not a side issue in reading. It is the gateway through which understanding enters. Screen habits can make it harder to immerse, even for those who once lost themselves in books for hours. Children face higher stakes because distraction can weaken the knowledge stores that later support analogy and inference. This means the issue extends beyond a preference between paper and screens, as it touches core cognitive processes. This moment carries both warning and opportunity, as science can still study changes before they become permanent. The culture is rapidly remaking reading, often without deliberate public choice, and faster than most people recognize. The question is not whether digital life exists, but which mental processes will dominate within tomorrow's readers. The next sections will explore the reading circuit, deep reading, childhood, and contemplation to show what remains at risk. Reader Come Home by Maryanne frames this concern. Subscribe to the channel for more insights on careful reading. Human beings are not born with the ability to read. Instead, literacy builds a new circuit from older systems for vision and language. This circuit relies on plasticity, the brain's capacity to connect, recycle, and reshape existing networks for new purposes. Since no fixed genetic blueprint exists for literacy, reading circuits can vary across languages, methods, and environments. What children read, how they read, and how they are taught all influence which processes become automatic. A vivid model illustrates how vision, language, cognition, movement, and feeling work together almost instantly during reading. Attention acts like a spotlight, directing the brain toward print and holding information in working memory. Visual regions identify letter features and familiar patterns, then language systems connect them with sound, meaning, and expectation. Cognitive and emotional networks extend the word beyond decoding, bringing associations, memories, hypotheses, and bodily simulation into play. Reading, therefore, becomes far more than correctly seeing marks. The brain integrates many systems within fractions of a second. This complexity explains why reading can deepen thought, but also why different media can strengthen or weaken its pathways. A sentence engages the brain more deeply than a single word, as meaning emerges through prediction, surprise, and integration. Deep reading slows enough for background knowledge, analogy, inference, empathy, and critical analysis to work together effectively. These processes allow readers to connect hidden motives, implied meanings, and unfamiliar situations with what they already know. Empathy in reading is not merely decorative. It expands how people understand others and themselves. Inference also trains judgment, and as readers test possibilities, weigh evidence, and revise weak assumptions rather than settling quickly. Critical analysis then gathers these operations into evaluation, examining claims, logic, and conclusions rather than consuming statements passively. Such work does not remain confined to books. Practice networks carry into strategic thinking, reflection, and social understanding. The challenge is that these capacities require time, sustained attention, and repeated use to remain available. Use them often, and they strengthen into habits of mind. Neglect can gradually weaken their connections. This paragraph highlights the cultural danger when speed and stimulation displace slower, intellectual labour. Digital environments reward novelty, rapid switching, and immediate reactions, which can pull attention away from quiet persistence. Modern eyes can dart from one stimulus to another, like a hummingbird chasing bright sources. Such habits align with ancient survival biases, but contemporary platforms exploit them continuously through endless alerts and feeds. When people switch media sources dozens of times each hour, sustained reading becomes harder before they even notice the loss. The result is not simple ignorance, but the seductive illusion of being informed, while deeper comprehension quietly thins out. Screen reading often favours skimming, word spotting, and zigzag scanning, especially when speed becomes the main measure of success. That style can be useful for some tasks, but it becomes damaging when it spreads into every reading purpose. Then a person may move across pages efficiently while missing sequence, nuance, contradiction, and layers of feeling. The fear is not technology itself, but uncontrolled habits of mind that train readers to react before thinking. This matters now, so subscribe to the channel if you want more grounded ideas about protecting attention from constant distraction. Once deep reading weakens, the consequences extend beyond private study habits, affecting public life and democratic judgment. Citizens are overwhelmed by simplified content that feels easy to digest precisely because it demands so little. The danger is that people can retreat into familiar silos of less demanding information, feeling impressively updated. This false sense of being informed matters because complex realities cannot be judged well by fragments, slogans, or emotional triggers. Critical reasoning is the best defense against manipulation, as it tests assumptions rather than accepting the fastest conclusion. Readers need knowledge stored within themselves, not just instant access to distant servers that answer before reflection begins. Without that internal foundation, analogies weaken, imagination narrows, and independent judgment becomes easier to steer from outside. The danger is subtle, as the loss arrives as convenience, entertainment, and efficiency rather than obvious coercion. Reading therefore directly connects to the health of democracy, as free societies depend on undeterred critical capacities. If these concerns matter to your own thinking, subscribe to the channel for more careful discussions about attention and judgment. For this argument, the reading life begins in bodies and relationships long before formal instruction or device management starts. Toddlers build early representations by hearing stories, touching pages, seeing pictures recur, and sharing attention with trusted adults. Repeated print reading strengthens concepts, vocabulary, story grammar, and the expectation that meaning returns in stable places. Physical books matter because pages provide temporal and spatial recurrence that very young children can feel. A lap, a voice, and a page create more than just the delivery of words. They bind language to affection. Screens lack this bodily fairness and can too easily entertain children without shared human exchange. Limited digital content before age 2 leaves devices present but not treated as the preferred companion. Physical books, not apps, best support dialogic reading, where parent and child build language through interactive conversation. These early experiences become the groundwork for later background knowledge and for the deeper reading circuit itself. Move too fast towards screens, and childhood may gain convenience while losing some of the richest foundations for literacy. After early childhood, the challenge becomes teaching reading deeply, rather than merely ensuring children can decode quickly enough. Literacy will not emerge naturally, as the reading circuit must be deliberately built and expanded. This expansion depends on instruction that connects print with knowledge, reflection, and increasingly complex forms of thought. Children need exposure to words they do not hear elsewhere, along with stories that stretch memory and interpretation. They also need sufficient print time to learn that reading can outlast the moment and continue to provide value. Books can become places where thought slows, accumulates, and continues after the page is closed. Schools should not prioritize efficiency alone, since speed without understanding can hinder intellectual development. Readers must become fluent enough to free their attention, yet not so hurried that reflection, imagination, and empathy are lost. Teaching therefore includes preserving slow processes while preparing children for the real demands of digital life. The goal is not nostalgia for paper, but instruction strong enough to protect depth before adding speed. This approach is not about choosing one medium forever, but about building a biliterate brain capable of making wise code switches. Children could become fluent in both print and digital modes, much like bilingual speakers use different languages. Print would dominate early story time and early school years, while digital instruction would enter gradually and purposefully. As screen reading increases, children would be taught skills to resist skimming and prioritize meaning over speed. They would monitor comprehension, rehearse memory, use inference online, and learn to evaluate search results for bias. Explicit digital wisdom would also include attention control, self-regulation, and responsible online judgment. If this works, children could use a faster light mode for email and a deeper mode for serious reading. Such flexibility might reduce the invasion of screen habits into every other medium and task. A biliterate reader could combine story-based empathy with digital access to real people and events. This possibility makes digital media a partner rather than an enemy, provided the child gains depth before convenience. The closing question explores what a good reader means when distraction has become normal and contemplation feels increasingly strange. For this perspective, Good reading is not primarily about accurate decoding or the sheer number of books completed. Instead, it is about the ability to transcend borrowed wisdom and discover one's own thinking through disciplined attention. One framework draws on Aristotle's 3 lives of a good society: knowledge, entertainment, and contemplation. A healthy reader can navigate among these lives, but modern culture increasingly endangers the contemplative third. Without it, people may accumulate information while losing the inner stillness that transforms information into insight. Reading becomes an act of resistance, as it returns the mind to time, patience, and inward encounter. The phrase "reader come home" names this return to a mental dwelling place that many feel is slipping away. Protecting that home means safeguarding reflection, compassion, and the capacity to stay with difficult realities without fleeing. The reading brain serves as a canary, warning that neglected changes in attention may cost more than convenience suggests. The ending rejects easy nostalgia and easy surrender, as both miss the gravity of the present moment. Digital culture offers invention, access, and possibility, yet every medium also carries trade-offs that shape the mind. What must be preserved are the slower processes that make readers thoughtful, humane, and capable of independent judgment. These processes include attention, memory, inference, empathy, critical analysis, and the contemplative patience that allows them to combine. Children especially need environments that build these capacities before constant stimulation teaches them to skim everything lightly. Adults also need to notice their own pull toward reaction, as weakened reading habits do not repair themselves automatically. The practical starting point is simple but demanding. Protect print time, shared reading, silence, and deliberate screen habits. A future shaped by biliterate readers could gain digital strengths without surrendering the best achievements of the reading brain. Reader Come Home is both an invitation and a responsibility, asking whether we will preserve the mental life we still possess. If you want to protect that life in yourself and others, subscribe to the channel for more grounded reading conversations.